Hi everyone, I'm Holly, co-owner and operator of Gracie's Place here, and welcome to the Maker Society. I'm going to show you how I use materials right from our store here, Gracie's Place, to make an adorable North Pole. It's perfect to stick in urns or any other Christmas decor that you like. The best part is after you watch this video, you can come down to Gracie's Place and you can shop all the supplies that you need to make your own. So let's jump right into the project. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to start off with here is this glittery red PVC pipe. We have these PVC pipes available for sale here in the store for only 50 cents. Yes, you heard that right. 50 cents. So you could make a whole bunch of North Poles if you wanted to. So to begin making my North Pole, I am going to take some painter's tape and I'm going to tape off the areas that I don't want to get paint on. So I'm just going to work in small pieces of tape and I'm going to make sure that I go on an angle here. So I'm going to start at the very top of my PVC pipe and I'm going to go around. And the reason why I'm working in small pieces rather than larger pieces is just it helps the tape stick better rather than one long piece at a time. I'm going to start where I left off and I'm going to continue to wrap the tape around, and I'm just going to repeat this process until I have the entire tube covered in tape. With my entire tube all taped up, we can now begin to paint. Now, as a note, if you want thicker white strips, use a thinner painter's tape. To paint my white strips in my North Pole, I'm going to be using Vanilla Frosting by Country Chic Paint. And again, we sell this here in store. If you wanted a more cost-effective paint to use, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on the paint, you can also use just a 2-ounce bottle of white acrylic paint from Decor, which we sell here for $2 a bottle. I already have this open, so I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to be using a stencil brush for this. Because we're painting over glitter, we want to make sure that we pounce the paint on. It'll just go on easier than using a brush and doing brushing strokes. And don't worry about forgetting any supplies. On the description in this video, I've included a shopping list for you guys that you can come in and use and make sure that you get everything you need to do this project. So we're just going to go around our tube here and we are going to pounce on the paint. While our North Pole is drying, I'm going to move on and make the globe portion, so the top of the pole. So to do that, I'm going to take a styrofoam ball and then I'm going to take a wooden barbecue skewer and I'm just going to poke that into the bottom of the ball. You don't need the skewer for this project. This is just a handy hack for when you're painting. So if you have like a stick or something, just stick it into the bottom of the ball so that you can hang on to it while you're painting and you don't get paint all over your hands. So now I'm going to take the same white paint that I used for the pole and I'm just going to paint the styrofoam ball. You can use a brush or a stencil brush for this part. It doesn't really matter. I just had the stencil brush handy from when I was painting the pole portion, so we're just going to go with this. Now we also have these styrofoam balls ready and available for you to purchase to make your North Pole. So again, make sure you refer to the shopping list on the description on this video before you come in store so you know exactly what you need to get. Now that our white paint on the pole is dry, we can remove the painter's tape. Now, like I mentioned earlier in this video, if you do want thicker white lines, just use a thinner painter's tape. We're going to set this aside and we are going to make a sign for our North Pole. So this is a small wooden plaque that we sell here at Gracie's Place for $2, and this is what I'm going to use to make my sign. So I'm just going to paint my wooden plaque in the Country Chic paint, the same white paint that I used for the North Pole. I'm just going to give it one quick coat and we're going to let that dry. Now that our styrofoam ball is dry, we are going to cover it in Mod Podge. So I'm going to use a generous amount of Mod Podge all over the styrofoam ball, making sure that I cover the entire thing. You want to make sure that you use a generous amount of Mod Podge so that we have no bald spots on our North Pole. Next, I'm going to take this diamond sugar dust, and again, you can pick this up here at Gracie's Place. It is $2.99 a bottle, and we are going to cover the styrofoam ball in the sugar dust. So I'm gonna just do it over my tray here while I'm twirling the ball. I wanna make sure that I don't put anything in the bottom of the tray so that I can scoop all this diamond sugar dust out afterwards and put it back in the bottle to resave for another project. So I'm using this tin to collect it all so that I don't waste any of it. And you can see where you can go ahead and see if there are any bald spots and work a bit of Mod Podge in there. This is going to be messy, guys, but it is a little bit fun.
To make my sign for my North Pole, I'm using this design that I cut out using my Cricut cutting machine. If you don't have a Cricut cutting machine, we can make you a stencil. You will need to message our Facebook page in advance though. I've smoothed the transfer tape onto my stencil, and then flipping it over, I also smooth it from the back side. Once I have it all smoothed out, I'm going to peel away the stencil from the back side. With the stencil off of my backing paper, I'm going to place it on to my North Pole sign that is now dry, and I'm using the grid lines on my transfer tape to line it up. I'm going to give it a nice smooth out here, and then again I'm going to use my scraper to smooth it onto the wood. If you buy a stencil from us and you don't have the scraper tool, a credit card will work just fine. So scrape it out, removing any air bubbles, and then we're going to pull away the transfer tape from our design, making sure we pull it as close to the design as possible. If any little pieces come back up, just smooth it out again and then pull back. You want to pull it nice and slow so that you don't rip the design. With the transfer tape all peeled off, we are now going to begin to paint our stenciled sign. To do this, I am just using black acrylic paint from Decor, which we also sell here in the store. To stencil our sign without getting a ton of bleeding, we want to make sure that we dab the paint on. Don't ever brush the paint onto the sign. You want to work in dabbing motions. This will prevent any bleeding. And again, it's ideal to use a stencil or a foam brush. Once the paint is on, we can pull off our stencil. It's important that you just keep pulling. Don't worry if any stencil pieces are left behind. You get those afterwards. Don't stop peeling to get all the stencil. Just pull it off in one foul swoop at first, and then go back with a sharp weeding tool or a sharp picky tool and remove any of the stencil pieces in between the letters. I am going to go around the edges of my sign here with some more black acrylic paint, and I'm going to just paint on a rough coat just around the edge just to give this sign a little bit of distressing. So I'm just lightly brushing it on. Then I'm going to take some sandpaper once that paint is dry. This is 80 grit, and I'm just going to rough up the edges a bit and sand in that black paint so it appears more distressed and less finished and polished. I'm also going to go over the sign, the whole sign, just one or two quick little swipes with my sandpaper just to give it a nice rough, distressed look. With our sign done, we can now attach it to our North Pole. But first I'm going to attach the styrofoam ball. So I'm just going to use a pencil and I'm going to trace around the pole onto the styrofoam ball. Then I'm going to use a small pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut out the round shape that I traced out onto my styrofoam ball. So I'm using the scissors and I'm digging way down deep into the styrofoam and then going as deep as I can without going too far into the styrofoam ball. You want to go about halfway down. I'm going to take the scissors, push them in and twist the styrofoam out using this motion you see here. Then I'm going to fill that hole with a bit of hot glue. And then working quickly, I'm going to stick in the North Pole stick into my styrofoam ball. To attach my North Pole sign, I'm going to use a bit of hot glue on the back of the sign. And then as well, I'm going to use E6000 as well. The reason why I'm using both glues is because the hot glue will hold the E6000, or rather, the sign in place while the E6000 is setting on the North Pole. So I'm just using both glues together so that this sign stays in place while it's setting. You're going to let this set for at least 6 to 12 hours, and then your North Pole stick is done. I like to place my North Pole stick in my Christmas urn, and this is the best spot I feel for this. It just adds your Christmas urn a little bit of oomph and pizzazz. And the best part is we made this fairly cheap using supplies here from Gracie's Place. I hope that you guys enjoyed this project, and I hope that you will give it a try. I'm going to include a supply list here for you guys. Give this a screenshot if you're watching this on your phone, and then you can bring this directly into the store and we can help you get all the supplies you need. So this is everything you will need from Gracie's Place, and we'd be more than happy to help you out to make your North Pole stick for your urn or whatever Christmas decor you desire. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.